I'm Daniel Hargrove, and I would like to show you my video demo solution for COMP2013, developing maintainable software. As you can see on the screen, I have refactored, developed, and extended the snake code given to me at the start of the project. I began by reorganizing the files into appropriate folders, most notably the images and the MP3 sounds into a resource folder that I had set up. This meant I had to reorganize the project. From there, I removed all of the unused assets and classes, such as paddle Java. Once everything was neatly organized into an appropriate folder scheme, I took a look at the coding conventions provided. I ensured that each one of the coding conventions was met throughout my project and took extra care to rename each member variable. I then noticed that my project was not a good example of single responsibility, and so I had to split up the classes. An example of this being changing my snake and snake object into separate classes, as they are originally one and the same. I then had to import and set up JavaZoom's JPlayer class in order to play sound effects in my game. From here, I decided to move each of the classes into a separate package based on their relevancy. Then I believed that I had finished all of the major refactoring work and moved on to development. As part of the initial development, I decided to add in a start menu and a high score screen. I wrote the start menu in JavaFX using FXML and the high score screen in Swing. My intention was to create all of this in JavaFX, but unfortunately I encountered many problems with installing it to my system and using it functionally. I added and failed for the player to enter text, and then created a data handler singleton class to pass everything around different areas of the game. I then needed to create a file utility class to handle the high scores. Once this was done, I packaged them together with the other utility classes and linked the project flow together. I encountered some errors regarding infinite file rewriting, but found them easy to fix by using the rubber duck technique. I then decided to move on to my extension work. As a part of my extension work, I was inspired by a beloved childhood franchise, Pokemon, and decided that there was a way to fuse Snake and players a Pokemon named Ekans that eat food to level up and raise your stats while randomly encountering other Pokemon in the grass. To build this part of the game, I needed to create a new package. Before that, I redesigned each image in the game to give it a new Pokemon aesthetic. I then created the battle class to handle the Pokemon battles and implemented a simple base logic for the fights with a user interface reminiscent of the old Game Boy games. I then added the food and changed it so that it had bonus effects before adding in random encounters. Using the data handler, it was easy to pass everything together and to coordinate the game. Eventually, I decided to add stages to my game, not to be confused with levels. These were stages of difficulty, increasing at level 22 and then every 25 levels from 50 onwards. Level 22 is when Ekans evolves into Arbok in the original games, and so I've remained faithful to the source. The difficulty increases by raising the stats of the enemy Pokemon, but also adding in more obstacles as a snake object later on. The higher the stage, the more obstacles are randomly placed on the screen. Then, to finish off, I added theme selection to the main menu of the game, with a grassy area, a cavern, and a Team Rocket base to choose from. Then I felt the game was complete. The biggest achievement I'm most proud of during this project was using my knowledge of games from my childhood to create a reasonably modular battle system that I would like to reuse in future projects. Also, I'm very proud of having learned how to set up a repository so that everything works correctly and easily together. This was not something that I was aware of having used Java before for much smaller projects, and so I'm proud that I developed this skill.